Good afternoon, YouTube. I'm going to entitle this video Life's Journey, Sexuality, Pornography, and Masturbation. A lot of people think that viewing pornography and masturbation is a victimless sin. And I'm here to tell you that it is not. And the reason that I say this is that it's not only detrimental to others, but it's detrimental to yourself in that it takes precious time away from other things that you can be doing that are more productive. Now, I know that there's a lot of reasons that people opt to participate in pornography and masturbation. A lot of these reasons have false starts. One reason, for example, may be that, like I said, you believe that it's a victim of sin. Maybe you are actually a saint and you have no sin, so you created that one because you figured no one gets hurt. But you do. But they do. You do hurt people. And it hurts people twofold. One way that it hurts others is that if you are spending time with pornography and with masturbation and that type of thing, it takes away time that from doing something more productive. It is a very time consuming process. The time it takes for you to get to that level where you're at a climax. The time that it takes from you to get back down from that level where you've climaxed. After you've hit the bottom, the time it takes for you to gather yourself and all the pieces that are you back together again to become you again. Um, Sexuality, it always seems, takes you kind of into a different dimension. Um, Time kind of stands still. You don't really know what's going on around you. You're focused on the deed at hand, and that's to acquire an orgasm. The way that's detrimental to your time for one. Also, it's detrimental to your relationship with others because depending on what type of hold pornography and masturbation and any type of sexuality has over you, it can kind of creep out into your normal life. Meaning, you could be walking down the street, you could see somebody, and all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my gosh, you know? Or you might not even be thinking anything sexual, but what you do behind closed doors does come to light. So you may not be thinking anything sexual. Let's see, you see John or Jill or whatever, and just out of normal conversation and a normal interaction or conversation, your eyes may happen to glance in a certain direction. You didn't mean anything about it, but your subconscious reminds you that there's something sexual about it. It's almost like being in the Garden of Eden, good and evil, where when they didn't eat from the tree, they didn't know they were naked, so it didn't matter. But once you realize that these body parts have other purposes than just, to use the bathroom or whatever it is, that's when your eyes are open to the fruit of good and evil, and that's when you see the evil. Every nationality, country, ethnicity has their own way of kind of interpreting the same thing, which is lawfulness, respectfulness, and spiritual wellness. Spiritual well being, very important. People don't pay attention to that, but it's very important. And one of the things that was said, like I said, when you explore those types of things, you give yourself knowledge of those things. And behaviors that you may have had before that meant nothing have now been translated into something other than what it is because you have been exposed. One culture, I don't know where it originated from, maybe China or somewhere. One of the things that they say is that they have is see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. So if you don't see any evil, you don't have an understanding of that evil, you don't intake that evil, you don't put out evil. What you put out is innocent. So you have to be very careful about what you take in, you know. Um, yeah. So for me personally, my journey through sexuality has been I was exposed to it very young. I think all children probably are, and we just don't realize it because I didn't realize all it was. I think like maybe, you know, 8 years old or so, we were playing house with, the neighbor girls, and whatever behavior they learned from their parents, they kind of put on us. And it's not molestation abuse, it's just kids being children. So then, in addition to that, my best friend that was a boy back then, again, another one of our friends was a little more adulterated than us, and he introduced us to something that, we really didn't know what was going on. But we were like, okay. And, and that was that. Those were my first bouts with sexuality. After that, my first personal experience was I found a book in an attic of a new place that we moved in. Nobody knew there was an attic there. My sister happened to say, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And she was like, "Maybe it's an attic." And lo and behold, it was. And there was a box of erotic literature, pornographic literature, and kept it hidden from my mom. But eventually got caught. But so that's my other experience with sexuality. Then real sexuality, um, losing my virginity, all of that, prom, just because everybody acted like it was such a big deal. I was like, you know, they've been having sex for ages, and I had a female friend of mine that was having sex when she was little. Anyways, I don't want to talk about sex, but anyhow, because it's just so dead and tired for me. But anyways, like I said, it's a spiritual thing. So my personal thing is, I had a teacher in the seventh grade. It makes me sad. All the Hampton, Virginia teachers back then were really good. And she used to always say, TOT now, TOT, time on task. So if we have plans for our time and we keep it on task, then, like I said, the idle mind is the devil's playground. And it's so true, You're wasting time, But what do any of us know? Because sometimes things are meant to happen the way that they are. I've learned through the legal system that I have absolutely no control over what happens in my life, that in an instant, your whole life can pretty much be turned around. I've also learned through being in homeless shelters and the legal system, and I think most of the people in the homeless shelter learned this from the legal system, that people can change perceptions of who you are just like that. I mean, I can get a whole bunch of people if I look good, which I don't now, I guess, and I always knew that was going to happen because, if you have good looks and you don't use them to benefit God, they're going to be taken away because what's the use? Because that's a great tool to have, is to look good, because you can attract so many people. What's the use of having it if you don't do anything with it? So it's gone. Not to say that it won't ever come back, but, my looks are gone. You know, definitely not a looker. Kind of scary. But, so my personal thing for myself is just, I'm going to take baby steps. My first thing is just to acknowledge all sin. Right now, the biggest sin that I have, and it's just a way for me to release my frustration, is self-sexuality. Because it's just a way for me to release, and because I don't have any contact, it's like a way for me to release. So I need to find better ways. When I was younger, I had better ways, thinking about being successful, music, arts, whatever. I need to get back into that. So whatever your sin is, even if you think it's a victimless sin, there is a victim, because you're killing your spirit. You're killing the spirit of other people. And I didn't get into that, but how pornography and masturbation and sexuality, how that affects others, is that you could really be having some people that maybe see the things that you do well. Like I write poetry and things like that. Somebody might see that, might see me write and be like, wow, this woman is really on point. She's awesome. And they'll look past my appearance and all that. But then with the sexuality portion, I'm like, okay, whatever. This is what's on my mind right now. And when you do that, not only do you demean yourself, but you demean other people too. And by demeaning yourself and other people in that way, you're demeaning God. So, um, just my light is flickering, which is kind of scary. I don't know if y'all can see it on camera, but it's flickering. But it's the truth, darn it. You're demeaning God and yourself and others. So don't, and it's really flickering. So do not, and I'm gonna try to focus. So do not participate in those sins, because you are weakening your spirit, yourself, you're demeaning yourself and others, and the spirit of love in Christ, which should be what we put forth. Love y'all. Bye.